So basically, we can start. Good evening, Maxim. I'm
Hi,
Nadia.
Nadia.
Yes, and I'm happy to be here with you to discuss the fascinating world of generative AI and our journey with Symbiotai AI. In my professional life, I'm Scrum Master Project Manager, and as I want to start from the small intro and want after that give the voice to you. Introduce yourself and start answer my questions. So be prepared, Maxim. So today we want to understand more better generative AI. We want to go deeper inside the generative AI. And in the second part, we will talk about the context of symbiotic AI in a generative AI. So first, let me take you back to where it all began. The idea of creating something from nothing has always been a human fascination, and that's where generative AI comes into play. This technology isn't just about algorithms and data, it's about the art of possibility. Imagine a world where AI can create art, write poetry, code programs, and even help in scientific discoveries. And we can see right now the development of AI. That's the word generative AI is involving us into. Um, Now, you might wonder how does this affect us as developers, managers, HRs, or even those outside the tech world? Well, it's transforming everything. As developers and Scrum Master, we are no longer just coders. We are no longer just managers. We are creators and innovators. We are breaking the boundaries of what's possible. And for those outside the tech sphere, generative AI is bringing a new era of convenience and creativity. From personalized medical treatments to tailored educational content, the implications are vast and deeply impactful. So, Max, could you please introduce yourself and tell us something about Gen AI?
Sure, sure, Nadia. Yeah, I'm CEO of Symbiotai. I have a big experience in development in IT world and in blockchains. And well, regarding generative AI, or Symbiotic AI um, is a place where different AI models integrated and can talk to each other. Yeah, and what was the question?
Could you please also tell to our audience what basically does mean generative AI, like in simple words?
Yeah, so for comparing, for tell what is generative AI, we need to understand what AI in general and what is the difference between generative AI and kind of old-fashioned AI. So AI in general, the difference between AI and standard programming or algorithmics, it's that when we have an algorithms, some programs, we have standard way how to do some things. We describe step by step. If something happens, we should do this thing, and it's really deterministic. So we definitely know what will happen if something other happens. With AI, we already don't know what will happen, and we try to adapt to the world data. We try to analyze the world data and try to do some non-deterministic actions. And if we'll compare generative AI with old-fashioned AI, so in old-fashioned AI, we collect a lot of data, we do it for a long time, and then we do some trainings on this data. We try to find some way to predict something useful for us from this data, and then we train this model, we test this model, we deploy this model, and then this model will predict something for us. For example, we analyze the data on the shop, We see how people buy something. We try to find similar people in the group, and when person came to the online shopping, we suggest something for him. So we know that, for example, he buy I don't know feed for pet, and we know that we can recommend something else for him. I don't know, maybe some some additional stuff for the pet, except the feed. Yeah, or for example, Netflix. When we came to Netflix, we see the movie, and we know that the similar movies, usual people watching this movie, and after that they are watching some other movies, and we can suggest the same movies to the person because of the behavior. And that's old-fashioned AI. In generative AI, usually we have big model which already pre-trained, and this model already have a world model inside, and we're trying to using this world model. This model already knows a lot of about the world. It can predict what will what should it write after our prompt. So we're asking something, and model extracting the data from itself and continue our sentence. For example, if we ask some question, it can answer this question because it has a lot of data. It's already pre-trained, and it can answer generally to everything. But the model can be fit to some standard some cases, for example, for medicine or for law stuff, and etc.
Thank you, Maxim. So, if I understand you right, based on learning from existing data, we are given to AI. AI or different models can generate new content from images to code.
Yeah. The models usually there are some basic models which can uh, generate only images. There are models which can generate only text, audio, video, and other types of the content. And for now, the models like multi-model models which can understand at the same time the text, the audio, video, images, and etc. And they can connect this stuff together. And for example, Google Gemini is the biggest thing which exists for now. There are some open source models which going in the same direction and trying to connect different models and different modalities. Yeah, and usually when you ask something, the model try to generate the best the best approach, the best thing which it understand from your context. And this is a main thing that you need to understand, or that for getting some good result from the model, you need to really explain what you want to get, or really ask the really good question or prompt. Because if you just ask some general question, you'll get the general answer.
Yep, I agree with you. Uh, so, Maxim, how has generative AI changed the life of developers in general and you exactly in your professional life?
For me, generative AI changed a lot because I'm using Copilot. It's a tool from Microsoft and GitHub, which doing auto completion of the code, and it understand the context of my code, and it can from this I'm just starting to type something, and then it's continue and generate some code for me, and I'm just accepting what it suggests for me. And yes, it saves really a lot of time. Other thing, we can ask some models some question, some, for example, to plan some architecture for the code, because these models knows a lot of different frameworks, a lot of different technologies, clouds, and we can describe our problem. We can describe our problem really, really in the details, and we can get some suggestion how we can solve it. We can try to analyze our approach, which we think to implement, and try to ask the model to criticize us, to find some gaps in our architecture, in our models, in our solutions. We can try to ask to validate our code if it's correct or not, maybe some mistakes in the code. So yeah, there are pretty a lot of cases. And yeah, and generate the code as well. Like generate code which you can just copy and execute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Is your company let you use generative AI at your work?
Symbiotai, sure.
Your company, but
We're using it a lot. Yes, but a lot of companies really afraid of AIs and afraid that their data will be leaked. They're really afraid of because it was some cases that some company's data was leaked and was in the ChatGPT, I think, because they trained on the data from the ChatGPT. Um, but in general, for now, there are a lot of different licenses from the companies who provide, like Microsoft or OpenAI. They're providing some licensing where companies can get the enterprise license, and this data won't be used for train the data, train the new models, and it's for afraiding companies.
yeah, Maxim. The next question, can you tell us more about the generative AI in the context of symbiotic AI? Because I know that it's been a year since you started to work on symbiotic AI, on developing it. What technologies are you using at that moment?
For this moment, we have integration with OpenAI, with their GPT-3 and 4. We have integration with DALI, also from the OpenAI, so we can generate images, we can generate text responses, we can combine something together. Except the OpenAI, we have integration with Cohere. It's a text model which can generate the text as well. We have integration with Anthropic, also text model, with Google Palm models and image captioning models. So it can explain some image, like generate the captions for the images. Also, we already have an implementation for Google. I forgot the name. With Google Gemini, we already have an integration, but it's on the preview mode, and by a license we can't. Unfortunately, we can't give it to our users because the license says that it can be provided for the users yet. But we already have an integration, and as soon as they release it in general availability, it will be integrated. And we have in our plans to run some local models, like open source models. For example, in our Discord, for now we have we run an experiment that we can run on our local machines the Stable Diffusion XL model, which generate pretty good images, and you can use the generation of the pretty beautiful images for free in our Discord. It's just for experiment, but it works pretty fine and generate pretty beautiful images. We have plans to integrate it in our interface as well soon, but it will be released a little bit later.
Mm-hmm. I want more to know about technologies you're using inside Symbiote AI. It's like machine learning, cloud computing, and others, and how you let users to interact with AI. tell us more what users can get from your platform.
Yeah, we don't train our own models, and we never plan to train anything. The maximum what inside our in our plans, it's a fine-tuned models for some agents, because so for now we're developing our agents, which will help users to find the correct model for them. Additionally, for users, for now, they can choose between the different models inside the Symbiotai AI, because for some users, the models are not like the standard ChatGPT. It's not the best fit for all users, because sometimes you generate some text and you're getting something which anyone can say, "Oh, you wrote it using ChatGPT." That's
It's
why
standard text.
yeah, that's why we can combine different models. For example, marketing people using it really good, because they can generate some text with one model, for example, with GPT-4. They can analyze the text and do some basic preparation. Then they can use some Cohere or Anthropic model to rewrite this text and get a completely different style of the text, and etc. Also, additionally, they can generate some images in the single interface, and that's our main goal: is creating the interface where any user will be able to interact with any AI model without going into different interfaces, generating it in one place, in another place, copy paste it, and so on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and basically, like any AI ventures, you're facing a lot of significant technological challenges. So, could you please share something with us? What uh, what obstacles do you have right now?
Yeah, sure. So one of our main problem is cost, because usually when we're talking about some other other areas, for example, you're developing some social network, you're developing some websites, some application, usually you don't have some big cost. You develop it once, and then the cost of the servers, it started to be big when you generate a lot of like when you have a lot of users, like thousands per day, hundreds of the thousands per day. At this moment you start to have some really good costs. But for generative AI, for our model, it's a little bit more complicated, because for now it's on a pretty starting point of all these things, and the generating of the text, generating of images, and I'm not talking about the videos, is pretty expensive for now. So GPUs is pretty expensive, and I think for now GPU costs around 10,000s of the dollars, like the GPU for AI. So for the companies who generate this stuff, like OpenAI, Cohere, Anthropic, they are paying a lot of money for this infrastructure. That's why we're paying a lot of money um, for their API. So usually it's kind of main thing for now, the biggest challenge for now. Other challenges is that it's super new area. There is not so much frameworks. There is not so much ready for using in production code. The APIs are pretty different. Every API we integrate, it's kind of completely different stuff. Not completely, but a lot of different stuff in there. We always going at the problems that we wrote more or less generic code for all the model, then we adding, for example, Google Gemini, and see that okay, it's not fit for our model. We need to restructure our code. We need to rethink a little bit about the interfaces. So yeah, it's a thing that not everything is standardized.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Um, What risks do you see associated with the rapid advancement of generative AI, of fast development of generative AI? Do you see some risks in the future?
Sure. We always have some risks. Um, One risk is that people won't be able to develop themselves quick enough, because in this case we just replace people everywhere, and people will stop to understand what happens in the world, and it will be the big hit to the economic, because the economics for this moment, it's it's based on the idea that people earn money and then people spend money. In the case when people will be replaced for 90% in the economics, we'll get the situation when um, nobody can spend money, and 90% of people won't have any money and won't be needed for anyone. And we will need to rethink it. And it's one it's one opportunity. The second opportunity, when people will adopt fast enough, and they will start to use open not OpenAI but generative AI in general. They will learn how to use it, and they will be in the symbiotic relationship with AI. They will know how to use it. They will learn fast enough to be an important part of this process, an important part of the process of developing new things, of developing new ideas, new products, of building everything in the world. And that's a positive side. That's a positive scenario for us. And that's why Symbiotai AI was built. And that's a global mission of Symbiotai AI.
Yeah, I love the future with AI. And what's the future for Symbiote AI? How do you see Symbiote AI in the next 5 years? What do you want to achieve? In the
I won't I won't go in the 5 years. Maybe for 1 or 2 years maximum, because
next
the era changing too fast. Because 1 year ago we had no idea that we'll have everything which we have now. Like we had a pretty limited model like GPT 3.5, I think, which are limited for 3,000 thousands tokens of the context. It's pretty strange. We had a pretty bad image generations. For now, we almost have a real-time video generation, or at least image generation. We have one 100 more than 100 thousands of the tokens length, which is much more bigger context size. um, we have a lot of different models. Like we have open source models which already are reaching like it's closer and closer to the closed source models. We already have multimodality models everywhere. So I don't know what will be in the few years. About the Symbiote AI, we definitely would like to provide more services for our users. We would like to find more users and adopt more users to solve more problems of the users. Regarding the functionality, we would like to create an agents, and we would like to create multi chat, like chat with multiple users, and we would like to add the memory for the users, which will remember which will remember for every user what the things which user talking about, the history of the conversations of previous conversations, and can add some context for the users for not starting every time from the scratch, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So what problems you are solving right now via Symbiote AI, via different models?
Right now, we're trying to combine different models to get the completely new result. As I mentioned, this context for marketing, when you generate some text, then rewrite it with other model. We'll have some other things when we will have the models which will be fit to some cases. For some use cases, I know for medicine, maybe it will be released some. We hope this year will be released few models for medicine, for some law. Maybe we'll go in the direction to fine tune some models for some use cases and solving these things. And also, even for now, some models which we are using, like Cohere, OpenAI, and Anthropic, they have some difference. For example, Anthropic has the biggest context window. It means that this model is able to analyze the maximum of the text. It can like you can give it a lot of text, and it will be able to analyze this text to extract some value, make summarization, or etc. OpenAI models are better for analyzing some logic. So from the logic perspective, it's the best models. And if you need to solve some logical problems, you're using GPT-4, or for example GPT 3.5 for spending less money. So you don't, if you have some problem which doesn't have some super complex problem, but you still want to solve it, you can use 3.5 and just have 10 times less money to spend for it. So that's a thing which we're doing for now. And other thing that we still didn't implement it, but we'll integrate other modalities like generating text, generating voices, for example, from the text, generating text from voice. So integrating different modalities in our AI,
Mhm.
in our
Yes,
interface.
Max. How do you imagine your first users for Symbiotai? With which user levels of seniority they should be?
For now, they shouldn't be super experts. I would say that they need to know a little bit about AI, about generative AI. They need to understand what the difference between some models, because in this case, they will be able to get the maximum from the our service. Because if you don't know, well, it could be tricky a little bit. This thing we want to fix with the agent, which will choose the best model for the users, for starting users, I would say. But in general, any user can start to work with Symbiotai AI, because the main thing that there is not so much users to who knows the different models. And starting now in the generative AI, starting to experiment with different models, for now it's the best time to start it, because users who already will know different AI models will win from the perspective of knowledge, from the perspective of concurrency between the different people, because other people won't know it. Other people, the maximum what know people, a little bit try to use ChatGPT, and that's it. So they're knowing how to interact only with one model. But when a user will came to us and start to experiment with different models, they will understand the difference. They will feel this difference, because you can't say that okay, this task is definitely should be used by should be solved by this model, and this task should be definitely solved by this model. It will be experience. The only thing which you can analyze for now, it's just trying to experiment and trying to get the experience with it, with working with different models, and see which prompts works better for different models, see which model will give you a better result for one task, which model will give you a better result in with other task. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, I understand your points. Uh, so, what advice you can give to someone who want to start their journey with AI in general and in Symbiote AI?
If in AI in general, so the first thing I would say that people need to understand what they will want to do, because there are two main different ways, like path to go. First thing is doing some AI stuff. So creating tools for generative AI, creating some services with generative AI, building something, and etc. The second path is just taking the generative AI and integrate it in a maximum of your daily life, of in your work, in every aspect of your life. And the second path is for everyone. And with Symbiotai, every person can start to work with it and start to integrate it to their daily life, to their work, and etc. For example, they can came to the chat, try to generate some ideas for their work, for their daily life, try to generate some plans, some lists of the plans. They can, I don't know, maybe they are doing some presentation, they can generate images for the presentation. They can, maybe they can translate some text, um, because the generative AI is perfect in the translation. Maybe they want to summarize some text, maybe like make it longer, make it shorter. Um, they can do like personal life. I don't know. They can generate recipes. So they can, I don't know, go and ask AI to generate some present recommendation. I don't know if they want to do some New Year presents or some other things. Yeah, like in every single, like everywhere in their life, they can use it. And everything is just an experience because you're starting to use it for one thing, then you get used to this thing, then you're starting to use another aspect of your life. Step by step, you're like fitting it in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Uh, by the way, can generative AI play that role like superhero in the future and solve real world problems, or it's like from magic perspective?
Um, well, superhero, it's a kind of I would say, because for now already the generative AI already solving the developing new materials for the world. I think the Google published their research that generative AI generated a lot of like thousands of different new materials which didn't exist before. AI will be able to solve like to heal people, like found like help with diagnosis, with like analyze some result of diagnosis, maybe suggest some cure for people, analyze the way how we can cure people, and creating new drugs, creating new genetic medicine, and etc. For now, generative AI started to used in the robotic fields, so we'll have soon robots which will be able to understand our speech and do the actions which we ask them to do. I don't know. They will make us coffee. They'll go to the shopping. They'll prepare food for us, or I don't know, make a haircut, or something like this. Um, yeah, probably we'll see AI in all our places, like everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
About
Sure.
superhero, I don't know. I don't know. The thing which nobody implements. It's kind of motivation for AI, because for now AI doesn't have some internal motivation, because people like they have areas of the brain which just pushing them to not sit in the place and going to do something. For AI there is not something like this. Usually every AI which we have for now, we just set up one task for them and they're trying to solve it. It's like an Rick and Morty, like mystics thing, which like you're pushing the button, you have a mystics, and you said, okay, this is your task. They're doing their task and die after that. So AI is kind of same for now.
Oh, all right. Sounds not really positive.
Well, that's okay. They don't afraid of that.
It's life of AI. And yes, I forgot you to ask about non-IT fields. So when and how non-IT fields will feel the Gen AI impact, or maybe you can see it right now.
As I said, that you can find the recipes for food. You can find
Mm.
what happens. I don't know, how to fix something at home. I don't know. You can ask um, what to buy for your health diet. I don't know.
And even yes, AI can help you increase confidence.
Yeah, like I don't think that there are research about it which shows the positive effect, but yeah, pretty promising. I think the psychologists. Like for now, most of the models have some guardrails about this. Like they're not saying. Usually they reply, "Okay, it's not a recommendation. Go to the doctor," and then they still give the recommendation.
Yeah, sometimes I don't like when ChatGPT, for example, writes that I need to go to doctor
Yeah, yeah,
because it's disgusting.
yeah. Like, but it's a guardrail. So like they have this model, this big model, which has all the knowledge about the medicine, psychology, everything, like drugs, physiology, like everything. It really knows a lot about the body, the psychology, and the brain, and every aspect. But under this thing, they built the guardrails, which said that okay, if somebody asks you that they want you to give the psychology suggestion or some psychology stuff or some health issues or some other things, you should like send them to the doctor. And usually such kind of stuff is just protecting people, like not really people, but protecting the companies. That if, for example, they will recommend something to the person, and then this person, I don't know, do something with themselves, they will be sued, and they don't want to have some problems with legal stuff. Say so. Usually they just create it for this stuff, for just protect themselves. But the
Yeah.
model it's but the model itself, I would think that I would say that if people will start to use these models to solve some psychology problems, probably it would be better than do nothing.
Yeah,
And
agree.
and I would be interested in if somebody will do some experiment and compare if it will be more effective than psychologists.
Yeah. So, Maxim, do you have questions to me? Because I don't have questions anymore for you for today.
Yeah, you can tell how you're using AI in your daily life, in your work.
Mm. Uh, Sometimes I feel that AI and ChatGPT at that moment, it's like my relative, because it's played a very huge role in my daily life. I ask him everything, everything which is on my mind. If I have challenges at work, it helped me. If I have challenges with people, it helped me. I can discuss everything I have. I can prepare presentation, for example. I can I don't work with images, but I work mostly with text. Also, I can generate some text for, I don't know, when I create features, for example, for developers. So I can, ChatGPT can help me with generating the text for acceptance criteria, description, etc. Uh, what else? To be honest, I don't know. I'm and right now I even think that's why I need to have friends because I have ChatGPT.
It's
So
good and sad.
it's very sad. It's very sad for modern life because everyone is very maybe everyone can feel alone, but they have AI. It's very sad. I agree with you. And what I can tell you in the end, I want to leave not you, Maxim, but our audience with one thought. Generative AI is not just a tool, it's canvas. And you're the artist. What will you create? Because Maxim is created Symbiotai AI. So thank you, Maxim, for your time. And I will look forward to your questions and ideas in our discussion ahead.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Now, bye.
Bye.